Liver King. The name we haven't heard since the great leaked emails of 2022 is back. Oh, and if you're thinking, what are you talking about? He's back. I haven't heard anything about Liver King being back. Well, don't worry, because it seems like no one has. This is despite him being in the biggest production of his career so far. Netflix just dropped a whole ass documentary, which is probably in the millions, all about his life and the controversy that made global headlines. It was supposed to be not just a big deal, but the biggest of deals. But honestly, I don't blame you if you didn't even know this thing existed, because oh my lord, this documentary dropped and it was crickets. Listen to that. That's kind of what it sounded like when it dropped. I'm not kidding. Even doing research for this video was tough because there has been such a muted reaction from the internet, and that's hard to do. I can't even tell you what a Netflix show got on Rotten Tomatoes because it didn't even have enough negative reviews. The only thing that exists on Rotten Tomatoes is this page, and it just says Untold, Volume 5, Episode 2, full cast and crew, and it's not even fully filled in. So, what the hell went wrong? Well, let me tell you, this guy is such a good hustler that I think even Netflix got played by the Liver King. We've all been there, we all got played. But now, whew, this might be the biggest one yet. So, that is what we're talking about today. Subscribe to the channel to avoid an ancestral whipping, and let's get cracking! Okay, so for the few of you who don't at least know who the Liver King is, Brian Johnson became absolutely massive on social media between 2019 and 2022. But then, right at the end of 2022, in December, leaked emails came out and showed that he was spending huge amounts of money on steroids, like 11K per month. And this is all while repeatedly insisting time and time again that he was completely natural. This insane physique that he has is all just hard work, ancestral living, eating raw meat, and testicles. Yes, a lot of testicles. And of course, the supplements that he takes.
So this is what I say to people that make this accusation. If you don't believe this is possible, then I suggest that you take that self-limiting belief, you put that shit in a box and you bury that next to all your embarrassing shit and don't open your mouth about it. Let that live with you.
Talk about freaking gaslighting, King. How are you gonna attack our self-belief? Ours. For questioning your physique. And I mean, there are dozens of these claims, by the way, but let's just play one more for good measure, okay?
The question has always been, do you take steroids? Do you take PEDs? The answer to that is no. I've always told the truth. I still tell the truth.
Quote, I always tell the truth, and I still tell the truth. Man, that did not age well. Oh, and on that note, one important thing that he mentions in the documentary, his supplement company that he was promoting throughout this huge peak that he had is still, to this day, making over 100 million a year. When these emails got leaked, there was outrage. People called him a scammer, a liar. He apologized.
And when asked if I've ever taken steroids, I've always said no. I don't touch this stuff, not gonna touch this stuff, never touch this stuff. That was a lie. I fully own that I fucked up. I am as sorry as a man can be.
But it didn't matter. Very quickly, the whole fascination around his lifestyle just plummeted because the one thing that was keeping it up, this guy may have the secret that, you know, to all of this health and this amazing physique and being healthy. When they found out it was just steroids, it was like, it's just another person doing this, huh? His views went from millions of video to a couple 100,000, if that. Years went by, and you know, the internet, it moves on fast, and we all kind of forgot the name Liver King, to be honest. But then, we heard rumors that bro is making not just a comeback, but the greatest of comebacks. Not just a couple Instagram reels and TikToks, this time on the biggest of screens. Liver King reveals all in his new documentary boldly titled Untold. And I mean, given the name, you would think that this would immediately jump straight into the controversy, kind of like pick up where we left off, because we already heard all about his life and all of that, right? But no, man, I was personally struggling to sit through this because it went deep into his childhood, you know, his current lifestyle, his family. Honestly, it felt like an hour-long commercial about the Liver King brand, only for it to be like a small portion at the end where he's actually addressing the controversy. There is no picking up where he left off. It was just like a brief little sprinkle. Not to bring back another old meme, but I guess here we are. But even then, at no point does it feel like he's telling us the full truth. It felt like he didn't give any of the stuff that would harm his brand too much from continuing, but we'll get into that. It felt like he gave just enough that Netflix would be like, okay, we're listening. For example, at one point in the documentary, he talks about he had his first ever orgasm on a bench press while lifting weights. I don't know. He said that he's always suffered from low self-esteem, that he's never felt good enough during his childhood, and that's kind of why he was taking the steroids. And I'm like, just at the point in this documentary where you're kind of like a little bit feeling for him, and you're like, well, maybe it's more of like a mental health thing. Maybe we shouldn't be too harsh on him. He casually drops in there that he's kind of had a long history of scamming people. It's not a one-off. It's a pattern. Like one, for example, when he worked at this supplement store as a teen and he was faking receipts that so that he could return these supplements over and over and over again. And then later in his life, he began making counterfeit supplements in his apartment, which he described as looking like a chemistry lab. He even hints at being like involved in an international drug trading. And he said that his sense of risk became distorted because he just never got caught. He was too good at it. And so his Liver King character was kind of like his scamming final boss version of this. And I guess ultimately, he did get caught though. Oh, and you'd think that like after doing this whole documentary where the only and literal point was to tell the truth and reveal all, there would be no more lies, right? That's the whole point. This part is just so hilarious. This documentary has the strangest ending ever. So the final portion, he goes through this ancestral, like, spiritual ceremony with his family. And so he enters this, like, hut and, you know, there's smoke, there's chanting with, like, a shaman and everything. And then while he's in it, like, it goes, like, red lighting and then it hits into one of those montages, right? You know these, where it goes into the characters, like, backstory and it, like, replays all of their traumas and, like, all in his voice. Like, him being made fun of, like, questioning who is the Liver King. It goes into like old photos and of his childhood. It climaxes and it ends and then it cuts to like 6 months later. And this is now in the present day. And there's like these victorious trumpets sounding in the background. And he's walking, you know, really sweaty. And he's like walking through this field of fruit. And like everything is set up to feel like new beginnings, right? And he's walking through this fruit field and he's picking up these different fruits and like he's eating them and he's thanking these fruits as he eats them. So he picks it up and he's like, oh, thank you, strawberry, eats it. And then he cuts a melon, thank you, melon, and then he eats it. And then he goes on to say that he feels amazing now, better than he's ever felt. Like he feels like he's back in his 20s. He's off all drugs, he's not on anything. And then he gestures to the plants and he says, I'm only on this. So he's standing there, jacked as ever, and he expects us to believe that bro's now on fruit. He doesn't look any different to when he's on steroids, but now he's not on steroids. So why take the steroids if you're not? He goes on to say, I want the world to know that I was wrong. I got it all wrong. I don't know shit. I was so convinced all of the carnivore stuff, that's what you need to kick ass in life. I'm now convinced that I was starving myself. Vegetables and testicles. I can have all of it. You see where this is going? Well, if you don't, let me show you, because instead of this being like one big I'm sorry and the retirement of Liver King, he plugs a He ends up plugging a new business idea that he's working on. He said he is now building 302 ranch retreats that people can come and stay at to live this new and improved lifestyle. And as the film ends, he's there, you know, with his wife on his lap, and he says, our reign has just started. Oh, yeah. Crazy. So I'm not really surprised that this documentary went largely unnoticed, because I think for the few people that watched it when it first came out, they must have not really liked it. And Netflix, it didn't hit any of Netflix's top 10s. And one of the top comments on the promotion of this on his account, this documentary, was why his videos got no views. One of the top Reddit threads that I could find was titled, "What the f did I just watch?" Lots of spoilers because shame on Netflix for giving this guy more of a voice. So yeah, ultimate takeaway of this is that, like, despite the whole point of the documentary, it still feels like the Liver King is still running some sort of hustle, some sort of graft. And it feels like on Netflix's half of like why they did this, the idea of getting the behind the scenes on his bizarre lifestyle and, you know, his family and all of that, as well as a controversy that went largely unspoken about, seemed like it would have made a great documentary. But it seems like perhaps like halfway through, they kind of realized, damn, bro's still hustling. And throughout the entire thing, he was still trying to control people's perceptions of him. Like, even when he was vulnerable and he said something, it was like for a purpose. But it felt like they might have just realized this like too late into the making of this thing. And they're like, well, we invested too much. We just got to do it now. Let's put it out, see what happens. Ultimately, that's kind of it. What do you guys think? Has the Liver King's reign just started? Or was this Netflix documentary flopping proof that people are done with the graft? Let me know, but I will see you in the next one. Woo!